Engage.
Is Samsung's latest QD OLED the real deal? Does it maintain colour and brightness despite having this amazing anti-reflective coating on the front? You might think that it can't do both. It's got to be a sacrifice at some point. Let's find out in this review of the Samsung S95D. Firstly, what does it actually do? I'm absolutely blasting this TV, and although you can see the light, it's so soft. It spreads out the light, it softens the light, so there's not a direct reflection like a mirror on the screen. And as we all know, during the day, that is extremely frustrating, seeing a mirror image of yourself or a window, something like that, in the darkest scenes of the content that you're watching. I just think it lacks contrast here, but there's no reflections. So there is a payoff. But this is an extreme example. I mean, I wouldn't be watching the Game of Thrones Long Night episode during the day on any TV if you really want to appreciate it. This room was a pretty good place to test all sorts of light sources, from skylights to higher windows in the city of Sydney. And here's another example, different movie, but same idea. I am seeing a softened glow across the screen, not a mirror reflection, as I said before.
Apparently not.
It's quite dramatic from this angle. I have one of my production TV lights, which is very bright, and I turn it on and off several times to give you an example of how the glow replaces that stark reflection.
You and I left a good life behind a long time ago, my friend.
Now it's up to you whether you prefer this type of screen or something that's highly glossy. Here's a recent example on a really good TV where high gloss can be distracting. Lots of windows around, lots of light, and it's very hard to see during the day in dark scenes. And even if you have light streaming in from all over the place during the day, if you are watching bright content, it might be a sporting event or it could be the news. You really only have an issue when there's low brightness content on the screen. The S95D gets even better in a cinematic setup where you've got the lighting just right. Quantum dot or QD OLEDs produce amazingly high quality colour at high brightness. I mean, have a look at this screen uniformity test. Firstly, there's no dirty screen effect at all, and the colours pop like nothing else, helped along of course by the Philips Hue setup, and this is what you get from the S95D. As always on this channel, I like to use real movie content to show what TVs are capable of. Out of the box, the S95D is pretty good, but for best accuracy you probably need professional calibration. But let's see what happens when we play around with the settings. Top Gun here on Netflix is in HDR, but obviously it's not Dolby Vision. Sadly, Samsung's still holding firm in not including Dolby Vision, but in reality it's something that people just won't miss, unless you're a TV geek. Filmmaker mode will give you the most accurate picture.
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
But I found myself using movie mode a bit, and of course if you want to tweak that brightness a bit more, you can use HDR tone mapping and select active on that. This won't be as accurate, but it will give you more pop in the image.
Copy.
I think motion is the big thing to get across in this TV, and it really depends on what you're watching. So you can adjust blur reduction and judder reduction. If you're looking at sport, you can really ramp it up with black frame insertion. Motion plays a massive part in gaming, and I'm happy to say this TV is brilliant when you've plugged in a PlayStation or an Xbox console. PC gamers will also get a kick out of this with 144 Hz. Peak brightness is very high on this TV, but there's a weakness there as well. Say you're watching a snow scene for a long period of time and it's not moving much, the automatic brightness limiter will kick in. This can be pretty aggressive, but it's reasonably rare to see it impact your viewing. When it comes to viewing angles, you've got it absolutely nailed. It doesn't matter from where you watch this TV, that angle is going to give you a great result. Combining all these factors together, you still get an amazing picture. you'll get people walking in and saying, wow, what a great TV, because those colours at high brightness are also highly saturated. Audio from the panel is pretty good. Most Samsung TVs do a pretty good job to punch out a serviceable sound, but the unit I was using in my testing had already been set up by Samsung with a massive surround sound system. So I was pumping it as loud as possible and got a tremendous cinema experience. The One Connect box is where all the brains are, where you connect your HDMI cables, etc. And in this occasion, it was sitting underneath the TV in the TV stand. I just think they're really good looking TVs. While there's some other brands that can do a little bit of work on their industrial design, but all this TV isn't cheap. The official recommended retail price is normally $7,999, and that's Australian dollars. But at the moment, at the time of me publishing this review, it can be found for a staggering $2,000 off. And like I always say, only buy TVs when they're on sale. So if you've always wanted the latest QD OLED, this is your time. If you're watching this after the discount, sorry. So, at those prices, are you willing to pay for this new display technology? Leave your comments below, be interested to hear what you think. But before you pull the trigger on the hate on this screen because of it, I've got to say, in the flesh, it looks gorgeous. All right, I'll see you in the next review.